How not to suck at Cosmic Crucible. What's up, YouTube? This is Reaper here, and in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about how to improve in Cosmic Crucible as a whole. This is really a video for players that are in that diamond, platinum area or gold. They're looking to move up. I think a lot of the masters and above kind of know a lot of these tips and tricks. So this is really to help you guys if you're looking to kind of improve and get more Cosmic Crucible credits for the premier loot in the game. This can definitely help you out, I think. So let's kind of dive into it. This is not a video about what counters what and what doesn't. There's other content creators I'll highlight later that really specialize in a lot of that. This is more conceptual on things you want to think about when you're setting defense or how you're planning your offense that are going to help you really get better. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First things first is let's talk about efficiency. So efficiency is one of the key factors in evaluating your Cosmic Crucible matches. And if you're not looking at your efficiency after you're done, I think too often people are looking at I beat it or I didn't beat it, but there's so much more behind the scenes you really want to look at when you're going through it. So the start off is knockout. So obviously you're getting points for every character you kill. Healthy characters is how many people you can have in the green or at full health by the end of the fight. A tent bonus is really around how many times you're attacking into a room. So if it takes you three turns to clear a room, then that's going to hurt that part. You get points for a full clear. And another one that's a little bit overlooked is turn bonus. Like how many turns are you taking to actually get through your opponent? So those 5 things are really key aspects. So let's look into the difference between the two. So let's start off with looking at bad efficiency. So when we look at bad efficiency, here's an example of a Tangle Web mirror match where you're going into another Tangle Web Axeman, and this is coming from the Age of X, but it still applies in any season. You can see here they had knockout 25 points for getting the clear, which is great, and most people are usually satisfied with that. But when you start looking between the lines, you start seeing some challenges here that if you ever lost a Cosmic Crucible fight by a few points, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So for example, when you look at healthy characters, they lost 5 points because they had characters that weren't in the green. So that's a 5-point differential right there. Temp bonus, they did it in one shot. So they're getting the full points there. Full clear, they're getting the full points. But then on the turn bonus, you can max up to 30 points, I believe, on turn bonus, which is basically one hit and you wipe the entire wave will get you the max points. So when you look at something like an Eternals against a bunch of minions, you're probably going to be in the upper 20s, you know, from a turn bonus standpoint. But when it takes a long fight and you're using your whole clock to get there and you have to go a few rounds and you only get 10, you're giving up to 15 points here. And if you start adding that across all the rooms, you know, you can find yourself in a quick deficit pretty quickly. All right, so let's switch these out. Let's look at better efficiency. When we look at like Tangled Web here with Dormammu, this is a different counter where we improved on the turn bonus by 20 points. We improved by 5 points on the healthy characters, knockout, full clear, and a temp bonus. And a lot of this is really designed around, okay, here's what I got to face. What do I need to bring in that's going to get me through the fight as quick as possible and safely? And that's really where it comes down to challenging yourself to really put some thought into not only how you attack, but also how you set your defense to also create these same traps or these efficiency traps for your opponent. All right, so let's go into some offensive tips. So if you're playing on offense, here are a couple things that I can call out. First thing is there's plenty of info on counters. Learn them. If you ever watch PrpleStiky or you watch Pathfinder Gaming, Juicy, who's a newer streamer getting into it. He's been in the community forever and has been everyone's chat helping with Crucible. Or you want to look at like Dorky Dad, who does counter videos on both offense and defense. That'll give you the knowledge you need to start taking those ideas of the efficiency and like what can you build based on your roster to take those ideas and make it your own. Secondly, waiting for your opponent to go really doesn't matter. I know a lot of people wait till the last hour. They want to wait for their opponent to go so they know what to do. But, you know, that could also work in the reverse. So what I mean by that is if you go ahead and do all of your attacks and you put up a really good score, it's going to challenge your opponent to take more risk in order to beat your score. And that can sometimes work in your advantage. So don't feel like you have to wait to see what you have to do because then you have all the pressure to deliver. Third, be versatile on offense. What I mean by that is, it's very easy to get in a mindset where like you have to have a specific counter for a specific team, and if you rely on that too much, and you face an opponent that doesn't have that team you're looking to counter, now all of a sudden you have a team you're not sure what to do with, and now you're very limited on offense. The teams, when you think of like Infinity Watch or Young Avengers, Eternals, teams that have multiple applications on who you can use them against, really helps when you're really designing your fights. Um, Also, planning out your attacks. I think when you look at all 6 rooms, don't just dive in because you see one you know you can beat. Take a step back, look at what you have for offense, and try to allocate them accordingly. That's going to give you the best efficiency score. And then lastly, of course, is start with the hardest room. The reason why you want to do that is because if something goes wrong or sideways, you can figure out a way to reallocate your resources so you can still put up a decent score despite struggling on a room. Also on that part of it as well is you may find like, oh, this worked better than I thought, so now I can do something different here. And having that ability to be flexible is very critical in these type of events. All right, let's look at defense. So on defense, there's a few things to talk about here. Um, it's a bonus if someone fails on your room, but don't rely on it. When you get better players, they're going to know how to clear. So the key is really like how can you outpoint them, and using these concepts around efficiency and building around that as your plan is really going to help you get the upper hand more than it does not. Choose teams that take a lot of turns to beat on defense. So when you look at like Full Turtle, for example, people are putting very hefty teams on defense because they know it's going to be a stretch, and then they feel confident in the offense that they have in order to kind of get through and be able to outpoint you. If you go full offense, just because you're offensive minded doesn't mean you can't set efficiency traps on defense. When you think about teams that take a lot of turns to beat, if you go into Young Avengers, like it's going to be an efficiency zap. If you have Tangle Web, that can be an efficiency zap. Infinity Watch. If you look at Infinity Watch, like, when have you ever been able to clear that? And Mirror Match is miserable. You're looking at single digit turn points that way. So things like that, yes, they're going to full clear you, but their efficiency at the end of it is going to be terrible. Also, if you don't have a deep roster, you don't have to follow the room rules. I think one thing I see when people are asking me for help is like, what do I put in this room? I don't have anything for it. I'm like, you don't have to put anything there. Put something else that is going to suck efficiency instead. Don't fall into that trap. If it's not there, don't force it. Put something else that's still going to give you an advantageous situation. And lastly, canceling out is an automatic 400 points lost from an attempt standpoint. So use it wisely. That's why I say take your time before you go into fights. So it's really key is just to think about that. I mean, I know this is more of an offensive tip, but just know that if your opponent does cancel on you, for example, they're already giving up 400 points. So I always look at it like this: if your opponent cancels once and you full clear on one shots, it's an automatic win regardless of the efficiency. So that's another way to look at it too. All right, so as we kind of like wrap this up a little bit, it's a very simple video, just to kind of talk through really more about the efficiency and really how it actually plays out in Crucible and why it's a major factor on why you set your defense the way you do and what you use for offense the way you do. I always look at the 2 most important things in Cosmic Crucible are speed and sustain. If you think about all the teams that are meta currently in Crucible, they either have one of those 2 factors. They either take a long time to defeat, or they hang around long enough for you to get a counter, or speed. You want to get faster than everything you're going into. That's where you start seeing the comps of Underworld with Zemo and Red Skull, is because it's creating speed to a team that doesn't have it, putting more stress on your roster to outspeed that and the other teams that you have to deal with. So keep that in mind. Look at the offensive tips we talked about, the defensive tips, and then also think about speed versus sustain as you start building out how your framework of what you want to do on defense. Once again, I appreciate you guys taking some time to watch the video. If you think this is helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. If you think there's anything I missed or any other tips that you think should have been included, let me know in the comments, and we can always do a follow-up to this and try to add that. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you guys live on Twitch. You can find me at twitch.tv/Reaper11983. Where we do a lot of live Cosmic Crucible play. And I'll put links down there for PrpleStiky, Pathfinder Gaming, and Dorky Dad, who do a lot of live play, as well as myself. You can catch some of my videos as well. But once again, appreciate you stopping by. You guys have a wonderful evening.